We want the skinny on Loop, but we also want to talk about TRID and all this other stuff. So I got three great speakers, Joel Singer, Pat Stone, and Austin Allison are going to join me. Housekeeping first, Austin. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's really hard to do what you did. When did you start?
2009.
2009. Now, some people don't understand something when you sell a company for $108 million. You didn't get all that money, right?
This is true.
There's some investors.
There's some investors.
Are they happy?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It was a good week.
So we get, well, I guess. What's the first call you made when you closed?
First call I made was, well, we didn't close yet, by the way, so we're still set.
Oh, right, you didn't close. You don't have the money.
So my first call was to our customers.
That's
a handful of them, yeah.
That's cool. Well, when you closed, I called my dad. Did you hear that story? I'll tell you real quick.
I did hear that story.
I'm walking down Sausalito. A homeless guy came up to me, talked to my dad about closing the sale of home gain, and he said he was asking for money, and I'd shoot him away because I was talking to my dad, and my dad said, "Who was that?" And I said it was a homeless guy asking for money. He goes, "Brad, hang up the phone and give him some money." And, so anyway, congrats. It's hard to do, and I hope you close. So play it safe here.
Me too.
But real quick, all the fear in the industry, you know, like what's Keller Williams telling you? That's a big customer. What are these people saying? What's going on?
Yeah, so I think you're referring to the questions around data and privacy.
Yeah, just
is that right?
hit it right hard. You had it in your video, but I think our audience would like to hear it, you know, eyeball to eyeball.
Yeah, so what's funny is that most of the questions we're getting are actually about synergies and what it means to our customers. We've gotten a bunch of calls from Loop customers and Premier agents about, you know, are we going to get a discount? Are you going to give the product away for free? And we don't have a lot of those answers yet, but we do hope to do things that benefit our customers in that way. And there's also been a couple of questions around data and privacy, and this is a really easy thing for us to answer. Ever since we started the business 6 years ago, we built it on a foundation of trust and integrity, and that includes privacy for our customers. So nothing's going to change. Our agreements with our customers will continue to remain intact, and we only use data in ways that are permitted by our end users.
Because I always tell the example, if I bought HousingWire, one reason I'd buy it is for their customer data. I would want it at Inman. But there's something different here from me getting that data. Normally, I would get the data if I'm the new owner of the company.
Well, I mean, one of the things that may be a little bit different is that, you know, the business of real estate transactions is a pretty important and you know, mission critical component of the real estate transaction. And frankly, we wouldn't have a business today if we didn't put our customers' interests first. And you know, we have many, many customers, the leading brands and brokerages across the country that trust Loop. I've seen many of them, from, you know, Sherry Chris to the Realogy folks to Chris Heller and many others in this room that trust Loop because we prove our security and privacy every day.
Yeah, and people may not like some of these companies, but you guys aren't like criminals, you know. You would be abusing some pretty serious things. That's not who you are. So let's go on to the next one. I'm sure someone will refine the question I asked when they get up to the mic. But what I'd like to do is get to the opportunity that's created by all your hard work, Joel's hard work, and Pat. And I mentioned recently how the lights went on for me when Pat Stone, who can be, you know, kind of a curmudgeon about what can and can't be done. He's in the title business. He has to be careful about protecting data. There's a lot of regulation with mortgage, but he said there's a pony in TRID, the three-headed monster. And what I'd like to do is really get to the heart of that, but move quickly into what we could see in the next year that's finally going to create what I called years ago the latte vision, what I call now the Kaiser experience for the consumer. But first, Pat, quickly for the audience, you're hearing TRID is dread. And I think it is, the government requiring more reporting, and most of it nonsensical. But TRID not as dread, but first, TRID is a regulatory disclosure requirement by your industry and the mortgage industry. Just quickly do a 30-second elevator on that.
CFPB tasked lenders in the settlement industry with combining truth in lending and RESPA disclosure forms into one form for the consumer, with the idea that it would be easier to read, easier to understand, and the consumer will get it 3 days prior to closing. There's a time requirement. And I'll tell you honestly, the form is easier to understand. It is much more comprehensive for the consumer. I think the form will actually have a positive impact on consumers because they'll understand what they're getting into, they'll understand what they're required to pay, they'll have more clarity and vision into what's happening.
And then the second part, which I heard you say at the CEO Connect, which I thought was really important, is, and by the way, I hate acronyms. It's like calling me BJI. I mean, who is BJI? CFRBDL. What is that agency?
CFPB?
Yeah, who are they?
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and this is the heavyweight in Washington, D.C. right now. CFPB is overseeing financial activity in the United States, and with a very heavy hand. They can fine anybody at any time. What they have done is they have told lenders, you are responsible for all third-party participants in a transaction. When you are doing any sort of lending, any third party you use, be it a settlement agent or anybody, you're legally responsible for their conduct. Consequently, lenders have gone to the title industry and everybody they use, they have done tremendous interrogatories to find out if the title industry is compliant, data security, so forth and so on.
So they're the regulatory body.
They are.
And we got a liberal president, so and we're post subprime, so they're coming down hard on industry. They're like the SEC's trying to get muscle to do their job. So, but the second pony in here is you think they are going to actually through this facilitate an e-transaction.
Yeah, Brad, I get excited about this. I'm going to tell the audience that our industry is going to change. I'm in my 41st year in this business, and I've become very cynical, like you, over time about anything ever changing. This is going to change this business because there is a level of data integration and systems integration going on now between settlement agents and lenders that I've never seen before. There are conversations about setting us up for electronic transfer of information and absolute working together. And it will extend to the realtor community also. On top of which, CFPB's next mandate is going to be promoting e-closing. So I'm actually going to see this in my career.
So back to my Kaiser, all in the cloud, all in a password. That was the CFB. The mortgage app, all of that data, I control it, right? So I'm responsible for it. Can we get there, Joel, where all of this integration in the back end that used to be impossible, and the e-signature, we bring in Austin's stuff, we bring in your stuff, we bring in the forms. Are you as excited? Because you're cynical too about things.
Yeah, well, I agree with Pat, and I am cynical. But before I agree violently with Pat, I want to congratulate Austin. It's quite an achievement. It's a remarkable valuation. On behalf of the realtors who own ZipForm, this is a Zestimate we love.
Thanks, Joel.
So in any case, going forward, I think it's going to accelerate a development that has been very slow and piecemeal. Transaction management from a standpoint of technology should have been much further along than it is. With the regulatory agency, it's going to accelerate dramatically, quite along the lines Pat says. I think the interesting aspect for those of you who are real estate practitioners is, at least for the foreseeable future, the main emphasis is going to come on the financial services side. There's another track that Austin's involved in, we've been involved in for 15 years, which is the real estate side of transaction management. For the most part, they've been two separate tracks. I think the real promise for the future from a consumer standpoint, from a technology standpoint, is actually melding them into a single track. And although I don't think it's going to happen immediately, the precursor for that is the type of integration that Pat's been talking about, and we are excited about it. In the short term, by the way, there will be some dislocation in terms of closing transactions. I think you have to be a little cautious. You may have to, for the next few months, there will be incidents, particularly I think with the smaller lenders, where there may be some delays in closings. But our suspicion is that the infrastructure is already in place among the larger lenders, the larger title companies. 18 months from now, we will have forgotten the dislocation, and then that's when the opportunity will start accelerating.
So now we can put all of that data will be integrated. You said, I think, Pat, you said how many data entries in a real estate transaction?
We did a survey once, and if you go around the country, on average, names and property addresses or legal descriptions are entered an average of 80 times per transaction. And if you count all the participants and all the time they did it. And you can't do it 80 times without there being a mistake. You just can't.
So Austin, now imagine you got a piece of the puzzle. Joel has a piece of the puzzle. There's forms, there's documents. And I'm going to throw out a challenge to the entrepreneurs here. What can you imagine the entrepreneur side, the product guys, building, because no offense to Joel and Pat, but I don't think they're going to build the cool product. They can't build Nest. They can solve the back end. I know they're both trying, and I love them, but I don't think they will. What challenge the entrepreneurs, what do we need now to be able to put all this in one bundle so I can go on, just as I do my health records, and find all the stuff there, notification, communication, and storage data, one place, no more faxes, no more spreadsheets, no more PDFs?
Yeah, I think we're already doing it. I do think we're on track to transition from what has historically been a fragmented, frustrating, inefficient process to a process that's very efficient and seamless online. And Dotloop's played a role in that. ZipLogix and many other entrepreneurs in this room have done the same. And I think it's a function of time. I mean, when you think about I don't know that anybody in this room would deny the fact that the transaction experience is transitioning to being an online experience. It's the right thing for the
whole closing.
Yeah, the whole process,
yep.
From search all the way to close. It's
yep.
the right thing for consumers. It's the right thing for the industry. It eliminates friction and introduces efficiency, which translates into profitability and growth over time. I don't think anybody in the room would deny that. The question is how we get there. And obviously it needs to be compliant and legal, and a lot of the regulatory changes that are happening, I would agree with these guys, are a great thing for the consumer and for the industry long term. I think the other piece of it is making the process seamless, and that happens through product innovation. It happens through customer service and customer support and feet on the street, helping real estate agents and real estate brokerages use the tools that are out there and leverage the resources that we all have to innovate faster and better than we have.
So Austin, what if, and let me ask you all, and I don't mean, you guys both have products, so I want you to defend them, but I want to throw out $25,000 from Brad Inman to the entrepreneur that December 1st builds the specifications for the product that I described at Kaiser. I will write you a check under this. I don't want to invest, I don't want to own, because I don't want any conflicts with Inman. I will donate whatever, if you get off the ground, my shares to a nonprofit. But I really want someone to tell me, there's a real simple product. Would you throw your stuff, Austin, into this? And could we throw title and mortgage, and my purchase offer, Joel, I'd like to have that in there, and the home inspection. Can we put this all in one place? Just data storage, and then allow me to do e-signature inside this environment and have that shared amongst all the people.
Technology's
Am I asking for something stupid?
The technology's there, Brad. Austin.
Why didn't I have it when I did my
Austin's
deal?
got a part, Pat's got a part, we all have a part. There's other issues that I think have to still be discussed. Among the issues is the question of the data. Austin's valuation is an incredible valuation. There is some bet being made, in my view, on the value of the data, because the data is significant. We have a data warehouse that does 40,000 transactions daily. Those transactions include incredible data in what is historically a dark period, right? From the contract until the close is finished. That's a dark period. That data is really valuable. One of the great discussions that I think has to happen is who controls that data, how is it used? I think people will be responsible.
Joe, I totally respect you, but you guys have been discussing it for 20 goddamn years, and I still can't get an automated transaction. Will you stop discussing it? Let's get this done. You're saying now we can do it legally. Why can't we do it?
Well, okay, the control of the data is not irrelevant, by the way. Ask Pat.
What?
So we participated, CFPB ran an e-closing experiment. We participated in it with a large credit union and Accenture, a Boeing Employee Credit Union and Accenture. 100% e-closing, 200 to 500 transactions a month. Now, the only difference between that in real life is it was a credit union, so they didn't sell the note. So e-note was not an issue. Signed on iPads.
What is that, just
paper.
so I understand that little dilemma?
Well, the problem with e-closing so far is that the secondary market won't take e-notes, but I think that's going to change.
Well, notarization is a problem,
right?
right?
Notarization.
I mean, there's a problem.
The secondary market, who Fannie Mae and Freddie Mae won't take?
Well, or private.
Well, there's notarization issues. Every state's got a notarization rule. Yeah. Virginia's got an interesting rule because we've done some e-closings using our e-signature packages in Virginia. The regulatory environment is not there yet.
Did you sell that in California yet? You have all that political clout.
We're working on it. It's very hard. The lenders, ask the realtors.
Why doesn't an AR use all the way to do that, instead of some of these other shenanigans? Why don't they just pour it all into making it easier for consumers to close the transaction?
Look, I think realtors have made it easy for consumers to be in transactions in many, many ways. I think the realtor is the one who's got the relationship with the consumer. The last thing the realtor wants to do is make the consumer's life hard. The focus has to be on how you do that. And the role of the realtor is also in question here, it seems to me, as you add technology. Technology, hats off to Zillow. They've become the consumer brand in the search industry. But the consumer brand from contract to close at the moment is the realtor. You're the ones, those realtors in the audience, who solve all the problems. You're the ones who do it all behind the scene. And new technology will help you do it better. Austin and I violently agree on that one, too. But the issue is...
But Joel, if Steve had given me that app, it would be Steve, not Kaiser. Steve, Brad Steve. And I would be loyal to Steve. And Steve would be in there because I trust him, so he provided it for me.
If it's just go back to the data.
Or it can be Austin. It can be Zillow doing it for me.
Absolutely. Go back to the data.
But if you don't do it, don't blame them for doing it.
Hey.
I want to buy another house, but I don't think I'm going to do it.
Well, you know what, Brad? If you use some of our software, and I'll talk about all three of us, you'll have a better experience. You should try it. Okay.
I'm feeling ornery today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I like you guys.
But real quickly, for the audience's sake, the capability is there. Fannie Mae did a study, e-closing study with a common data room where everybody could access data as needed. And they did all e-closing. Average closing time is 21 days, which I think everyone here would, including the three of us or four of us, would really appreciate. So the technology is there, and I think we are breaking down.
Well, and also, Pat, I think your point about the title of this section is taking time, costs, and failure out of the real estate transaction. And we know things fall out because people aren't qualified, they change their mind. But a lot of it falls out just because of the time, solving that. I mean, I got to tell you, that e-signature for me, in business just changed everything. Yeah, I'm more likely to maybe sign a stupid deal because it's so easy now on my phone, Austin, you're told to be really quiet, I know.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to chime in. I think this is, pretty simply a function of time and a big industry transitioning from a place that has been very fragmented to a place that's very seamless and collaborative. And one of the things that is interesting and dynamic about the real estate transaction is just how many people are involved in the process. And I know I can speak for lots of our customers, many of which are in this room, that are running very efficient, end-to-end, seamless transaction experiences through their brokerages. But somewhere around 9 out of 10 transactions involve 2 different agents from 2 different brands. So somebody could be completely online and digital here, interacting with somebody who's not on the other side, and it takes time for an industry this large to adopt.
I got a cardiologist in New York. I got a cardiologist in LA. I got a cardiologist in San Francisco. I got nurses. I got dermatologists. I got reports. A lot of vendors working on Inman, and it's all in Kaiser. It's all there. It's
look,
easy
the
to get.
connectivity.
I guess what I want to do is all the excuses we have, now it's going to be fight over data. Another fight over data, and I got to wait 5 more years. Let's just get this done.
Brad, you got the connectivity issues that we talked about earlier. We're both trying to accelerate connectivity in 2 different tracks, right? The financial community is doing it. They're going to get a good boost, but, I think, Pat, you said 3 to 5 years. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
This stuff is not
3 to 5 years more?
On the financial side. On the real estate side, it's going to take, not that long necessarily because we're pretty close.
Yeah.
But until both sides get it done, until there's a set of rules, there's going to be a lot of regulatory changes needed, there's going to be some legislative change needed, and then you merge it together. But it's very, very close. And as I say, it's not a technology issue. A lot of this has to do with a regulatory environment. And you're talking about a transaction that occurs, once in 10 years. It's an unusual transaction. It's much more than a business transaction. It's buying a home. And the government doesn't make that easier. Their view is not that we should,
Yeah, but I think we're hearing now they're making it easier, right, Pat?
They are going to make it.
And that we should ride that, just like digitization of health records made it easier.
It actually, that's the blessing on this. This is a lot of regulation. It's a lot of disclosure. It's a lot of pain. The end result will 3 to 5 years from now, 21 to 30-day closings instead of 20% falling out, 5 or 10% falls out. We all make more money. We're all happier. We have a happier consumer.
So 3 of the smartest people in the industry are working on this, so I feel really good. I will get texts, as I do when I walk into these, from people who say, push them, push them, push them, Brad. And every time I'm up here, people go, why are you like that? Well, I'm pushed by my customers to push you. So let's make it happen. Let's cheer them on. And by New York, we'll do an automated closing.